Picture this, a multi-billion-dollar aircraft carrier, the absolute pride of a nation's fleet, slicing through the waves of the Arabian Sea. It's got a whole screen of destroyers and frigates guarding it. It looks, for all the world, completely invincible. But what if the deadliest threat isn't something you can even see on a radar screen?
Because just a few miles off its bow, lurking in the chaotic, sound-bending waters right near the coast, there's an enemy submarine. And to that submarine, that carrier isn't a symbol of power, it's just a target. This right here, this is the new reality of naval warfare. And it's a reality that India has built a very specific and very deadly answer for.
So, here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll dive into the underwater threat itself. Then, we'll look at the street fighter solution that India came up with. We'll get into the nitty-gritty of hunting in the shallows, place all of this on the geopolitical chessboard, see why building it in India is such a big deal, and finally, ask, what's the next move? All right, let's get right to the core of the problem. You see, the great naval battles are shifting away from the deep blue ocean and into what they call the littorals. That's the shallow coastal waters. And these places, well, they're an acoustic graveyard, a place where all the old rules of naval warfare just completely fall apart. Here's the best way to think about it. Imagine a massive, 7,000-ton destroyer. It's a technological marvel, an absolute beast built for the open ocean. But in these shallow coastal zones, it's like trying to drive a Ferrari down a narrow, crowded cobblestone alleyway. It's way too big, it's incredibly loud, and its super powerful sensors, they become practically blind. Sound just bounces off the seabed, the surface, everything, creating this chaotic mess that is the perfect place for a submarine to just vanish.
So, if a Ferrari is the wrong tool for the job, what do you need? You don't need a race car, you need a street fighter. And that is where the INS Arnala comes in. It's the lead ship of a brand new class of anti-submarine warfare craft, designed from the keel up for this exact brutal kind of fight.
And the first thing you'll probably notice is just how small it is. I mean, at 900 tons, it's a tiny fraction of the size of a destroyer. But don't you dare let that fool you. This ship is a specialist. It is purpose-built for one job and one job only, to hunt submarines in the very places the big boys can't go. So what makes the Arnala so good at its job? To really get that, we need to talk about the physics of the hunt. I mean, what makes finding a sub in shallow water so unbelievably hard? Well, the answer is in the water itself.
It all boils down to this thing called the thermocline. Just think of it like an invisible, soundproof blanket hiding under the surface of the water. It's a layer where the temperature changes really fast, and when sound from a warship's sonar hits this layer, it doesn't go through. It actually bends away, creating a huge acoustic shadow zone right underneath it. A smart submarine captain knows this, and they will park their boat right in that shadow, making them totally invisible to anyone listening from above. So how does Arnala beat this trick? Well, with its secret weapon, the Low Frequency Variable Depth Sonar, or LFVDS. Now, instead of having a sonar bolted to the bottom of the ship, the Arnala unspools its sonar deep into the water on a long cable. It literally dunks its listening gear below the thermocline, completely bypassing that soundproof blanket. It's like, instead of shining a flashlight from the top of the stairs into a dark basement, you lower the flashlight right down into the room. Suddenly, there's nowhere left to hide. And once it finds its target, once that ghost is on the screen, the Arnala has plenty of teeth to finish the fight. It's armed with lightweight homing torpedoes, which are perfect for those tricky shallow environments. It's got anti-sub rockets, and it even has the ability to lay mines, effectively sealing off strategic channels to enemy vessels. But you know, maybe its most revolutionary feature is how it moves. You see, almost every warship has a fatal flaw, the noise from its propellers. It's a dead giveaway. The Arnala, though, it doesn't have propellers. It uses water jets. It sucks in massive amounts of water and blasts it out the back for thrust. This makes it not only super agile, but more importantly, it makes it whisper quiet. And in the world of submarine warfare, the quietest one in the room always wins. Okay, so let's zoom out for a second. Why go to all this trouble? Why pour all this money and brain power into building such a specialized ship? Well, the answer isn't just about technology. It's on the geopolitical chessboard, and it has a lot to do with a $5 billion deal that poses a direct threat to India's maritime security. The stage is set for a duel. In one corner, you have Pakistan, which, with a lot of help from China, is bringing in the brand new Mahe-class submarine. These things are the real deal. They're incredibly quiet. They have something called air-independent propulsion, which means they can stay submerged for weeks at a time. These are the ghosts. And the INS Arnala? Well, it's the ghost hunter. And this duel is part of a much bigger play. You may have heard of China's string of pearls strategy,
The goal is to establish a network of ports and naval bases all across the Indian Ocean, essentially creating a strategic circle around India. These new Hungor-class submarines are a critical part of that pincer move. So the Arnala isn't just a defensive ship, it's a direct counterpunch. It's designed for sea denial.
But you know, the story of the Arnala is about more than just technology or high-stakes geopolitics. It's also about a deep, fundamental shift in India's own identity. It's the story of the rise of the builder's navy.
80%. This single number tells you so much of the story. The INS Arnala has over 80% indigenous content. We're talking everything from the specialized steel it's made of to the cutting-edge sonars and electronics inside. This ship is a triumph of the Make in India initiative.
There's a quote from Indian Navy doctrine that just captures this shift perfectly. We are a buyer's navy no more, we are a builder's navy. And think about what that really means. By building these complex warships at home, India gains incredible strategic independence. If a conflict breaks out, they're not stuck waiting for another country to send spare parts. The entire industrial ecosystem is right there, ready to support the fleet.
So where does all of this leave us? What's the next move? Well, one thing's for sure. The Indian Ocean is no longer some quiet strategic backwater. It's fast becoming the new global center of gravity for trade, for energy, and for military competition. And the Arnala is a key player in this new great game. Ultimately, what India is doing here is creating an underwater shield. By deploying a whole fleet of these silent sentinels, the goal is to make it so difficult, so risky for an enemy submarine to even think about approaching India's coast that they just won't. It is the textbook definition of anti-access area denial. But this kind of technological arms race never ever stops. With things like autonomous underwater drones and AI-driven sonar just around the corner, the entire game of submarine warfare is constantly changing. And that leaves us with one last lingering question. Will today's state-of-the-art ghost hunter be enough to keep tomorrow's ghosts at bay? Only time will tell.